Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Ooh, man, I bet that hurt. Whew. Think a quarterback getting blindsided is bad. Just wait till your 401k gets blindsided by the next stock market crash.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and four-time author, Tony Walker.
Ever heard the term blindsided? Webster's dictionary describes the experience of being blindsided this way: to be hit unexpectedly from or as if from the blind side, to surprise unpleasantly. The term blindsided is often used in the sport of football to describe a quarterback getting hit hard from his blind side by oncoming defensive players who go unblocked or unseen. In 2009, The Blind Side, a movie starring actress Sandra Bullock, featured a real-life football player by the name of Michael Orr who made a really good living in the NFL protecting quarterbacks from being blindsided. Orr's career protecting quarterbacks actually began in high school when his coach wisely utilized Orr's enormous size by placing him on the offensive line opposite the opponent's best pass rusher in hopes of, you got it, protecting the quarterback. So what does a wise high school coach protecting his team's quarterback from getting blindsided have to do with you getting blindsided by the next stock market crash? Well, let's find out. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, financial left tackle assigned to protecting your money and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And today, before we show you how to set up a game plan to protect more of your money and your retirement, let me introduce three financial offensive linemen in the studio assigned to the task of protecting this show from being blindsided. At 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in at 285 pounds, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Next, standing tall at 6 feet 10 inches and a paltry 120 pounds, Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. And finally, standing in at least, I think, 5 feet 1 if she's standing at all, and weighing in at Miss Meek and Mild Mary Beth Combs. Okay, Tony, you ask, what in the world does the art of protecting a quarterback from being blindsided have to do with me, my money, and my retirement? Well, in the course of my 37 plus years in this business, one thing I can tell you, if history repeats itself this year, that's right, 2022 could be, listen, could be the year your 401k or IRA gets blindsided by another stock market correction, or yes, even a crash. Which is why today, to help us kick off how to keep from being blindsided, we will be talking to a special guest in our studios, a local, very successful high school football coach, as he shares the time and preparation that goes into each and every football game and why protecting the quarterback from being blindsided is the key to a successful season. So you stay tuned. Let us get this studio rearranged. We got a great interview coming your way. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker, and to talk more about this theme of being blindsided with your retirement, I thought we'd take a little bit of a left turn and try to understand what it means to be blindsided in the field of football and the idea of protecting the quarterback. And I couldn't think of anybody more intelligent in this idea of winning championships by protecting your quarterback, none other than my good friend, the head coach at St. X High School here in Louisville, Mr. Kevin Wallace. First of all, Coach Wallace, thank you so much for joining us.
Tony, it's great being with you.
And it's been several years. I think we ran into each other maybe at a random basketball game, but I mean, it's been a long time, and it's been really good to see you, brother. And congratulations on all your success at St. X.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and just hope we can keep doing it for a while.
Yeah. You know, before we get into the actual interview, and I want you to show us some things on the whiteboard, I appreciate you bringing this. I forgot about this. This is our old Bowling Green American Legion baseball. 1978, we played together back in Bowling Green. I bet a lot of people don't know that.
It does indicate what our age is, and I might not look like much of an athlete anymore. You've kept yourself in really good shape. But
we just wear all black, Kevin.
Yeah,
that's the
right. That's right. But you know, we did some good things back then.
Oh yeah. Well, you were a heck of an athlete, and we had some good athletes back then. But I think what I want to kind of talk about today, I didn't realize how many state championships you've won, because you came from my old alma mater, Bowling Green High School. How many did you win there?
We won 5. Actually, we won 5 of the last of 6 from 2011 to 2017. And then I'd also been part of the one in 1995 as an assistant.
Was that when Coach Haley was
Coach
there?
Haley's last year. It was the last year he was there, and we defeated Highlands in the state finals that year. Highlands got us a little bit later in 07.
My favorite son-in-law trade now.
Right. But you know, was really lucky to be a part of a special program there. And then Dana and I both retired from public schools, so this was an opportunity we didn't want to pass up to come to Louisville.
Yeah, and I'm just so impressed how quickly, and I know, of course, you're a very humble person. I mean, I know you give kudos to all your coaches and players, and I always respect that about you. This is a team sport, and I know you acknowledge that.
You've got to have great players, and you got to have great coaches, and the size of the program at St. X means that you've got to have an awful lot of them on both of those ends. And you're participating in 6A football. It's kind of big boy football, and you got to be able to beat the best people in the state. And that was part of the challenge in coming up here, Tony. I kind of wanted to see if I could do that at that level, and very fortunate to be a part of a team this year that was pretty special on the night in the finals, and just great getting a state championship.
Well, congratulations again, Kevin. Okay, so coaching football, to me, I've played some football, never at a truly competitive level, but to me, coaching football is a whole different animal. I mean, you've got so many players, so many different schemes. So our theme today, Kevin, has been this idea of trying to protect the quarterback. In our world, it's protecting your money. But and we've talked about a movie called Blindsided, but try to help the viewing audience that may not know that much about football, quite frankly, the importance of strategy and setting up the line and understanding what the defense is trying to do, a little bit about this whole concept of blindsiding and why you fear that as a coach for offense.
Well, first and foremost, we've just drawn an offensive line and a defensive front. And as you've practiced football, you basically practice inside your position groups an awful lot. You're doing a lot of individual work, a lot of what's called combo work. And in that combo work with our offensive line, we'll work a lot on our run game combos, our run game blocks, but we spend an awful lot of time in pass protection, working against blitzes, working against different defensive fronts.
Like what are these initials? What are those players
The
there?
players right here, the N is a nose, the T is a tackle. The 2 outside guys are the defensive end. That's a Mike linebacker and a Will linebacker is what we would see. The X is the center. The O's there are guards and tackles. This is the quarterback and the running back. And really you have 6-man protection against a 6-man front. And you're hopefully that you can have enough numbers to handle everybody. We don't block man on man. We block areas because those defensive guys are not just going to rush from where they're lined up. They're going to coordinate blitzes where you might have a slant, and bring a linebacker to the outside.
So stop there for a minute. So it's not going to be real predictable every play, right?
It's never predictable. There's somebody coming from a different angle all the time. And the difficulty here, and the reason you have to practice so much, is to prepare for the different things that you're going to see every Friday night in terms of another team's blitz packages. Because we certainly don't want the situation occurring, Tony, where, for example, our left tackle, who's the most important guy on the field for us when it comes to pass protection. Because if you have a right-handed quarterback, he's going to turn and look to his right as he drops. So he's not really going to see anything on his blind side.
That's why they call it the blind side.
That's why they call it the blind side. So you certainly don't want this left tackle to be in a situation to where he misses an assignment and somebody comes sprinting at the backside of our quarterback.
What do defenses, because obviously you also coach defenses, what is a defensive strategist trying to do to get that, take advantage of that blind side? What might they do to try to dupe you or trick you or fake you into thinking that you've got everything covered?
I'll just draw you a basic blitz, Tony.
Okay, I'd like to see that.
A little basic thing that somebody might do, and they'll take a defensive tackle and spike him to the inside. They might take the defensive end and spike him across the face of the tackle and to the inside and bring this linebacker right off of the edge. Once again, if you're caught thinking that you're blocking a man, one of those three is going to come free.
I see.
And the whole point of pass protection is that you want to have three people on each side of the football. So if this was a slide call to the left, it would be the center that would be the third blocker. And so the center would have this gap, the A gap as we call it. The guard would have the B gap, and the tackle would have whatever comes outside. The back would always be opposite of that slide call because he's going to go opposite of the center. So you've got three guys on the wide side of the field and three guys on the short side of the field.
Wow. So I guess the moral to the story when you're prepping for a game, I mean, I know there's a lot of things that go into it, but obviously the key is you've got to protect the quarterback. If you don't protect the quarterback, I mean, assuming unless you had some, boy wonder over there waiting in the wings at second string, the game could be in jeopardy if you don't protect that quarterback.
Tony, if we get hit without seeing what's coming, more than likely we're going to fumble the football. And one thing I have figured out in 40 years of coaching, you can't win without the ball. You can't score without it. We got to keep the quarterback safe. We got to keep the ball in our possession.
Oh, man, great words of wisdom. Thank you, Coach. So, folks, this is Tony Walker. I'll be right back, and I'm going to share with you some strategies just like Coach Wallace did, but how do we protect your money from being blindsided? I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Oh, Aaron, by the way, I'm going to make a little pitch after the Bible segment. So if anybody's maybe watched the show for years, coming on our 400th episode, I think it'd be cool for somebody maybe call in and kind of share some moments in the past. So be aware if we get any phone calls about the 400th episode, I might want to put somebody on next week. Okay, thank you, Aaron. You know, one way to avoid being blindsided is being prepared. With this in mind, I created a simple formula to keep us from being blindsided, and it goes something like this. Wisdom equals knowledge plus preparation. And it's not just a lack of wisdom on how best to prepare your team in protecting its quarterback in football, but also the lack of wisdom in considering normal activities that we can easily take for granted by assuming all is safe and sound. Take the great unsinkable ship, the Titanic. Before its maiden voyage in April of 1912, there were reported to be an unusual number of icebergs in the frigid waters that lie in wait, yet ignoring these warnings of the possibility of being blindsided by an iceberg, the Titanic sailed full steam ahead, and well, we know the rest of that story. Oh, speaking of being blindsided, America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron Orander, informed me that today's recording is number 399, meaning next week we're going to be recording our 400th episode. You know, surprised by the number of episodes we have recorded, I asked our own Mary Beth Combs to research how we compare with the number of episodes of some of the more popular TV shows of the past. So, Mary Beth, which shows did you come up with?
So, in honor of Betty White passing a couple weeks ago, I started off with The Golden Girls. That has 180 episodes.
I would have thought that had been a lot more. Okay, go ahead.
The next one I did was The Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, wait a minute. Andy Griffith. Did you find out the number of episodes there? May I guess, please?
Yes.
I'm going to say 420, 430.
Only 249.
I beat Andy Griffith. Keep going. This is awesome.
The next one, Happy Days,
Okay. I don't think that was as many, but I'm not sure on that one.
$2.55.
Okay. Yeah.
And then next we have Grey's Anatomy.
You know, I never really watched that show. Was that on that long?
$3.88.
Oh, I didn't realize.
It's quite a while.
I just learned something today.
Yeah. And then we got two more. We got Bonanza,
Well, that's got to be more than 400.
$4.31. Yeah. And then the last one, Gunsmoke,
Yeah, it's got to be more.
$4.80.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much, Mary Beth. Okay, back to our topic of how savers can avoid being blindsided by another stock market crash, and why I'm so concerned about the current high valuation of the stock market as we record this show on January 19th, 2022. Now, my first reason for concern is an understanding of what I call the 7-year itch, which, if history repeats itself, 2022 could be a year that could blindside your 401k as the stock market might correct itself. You know, according to those who keep up with the ups and downs of the stock market, the average bull market lasts about 70 months. That's when the market's going well, while the average bear market about 15 months, unless, of course, you remember the tumultuous years of 2000, 2001, and 2002, which crashed for 3 straight years, and then the infamous year of 2008, which saw savers' 401ks blindsided to the tune of a 57% loss in value, and taking almost 4 years to get back to break even, which is fine if you're 40 years of age, but not if you're retired or nearing retirement. My second concern with today's high-flying stock market is its current valuations, which surprisingly includes 5 stocks out of the 500 in the S&P that account for 25% of the overall valuation. Translation, in my humble opinion, this current stock market is not worth as much as everyone thinks. And then finally, today's low interest rate environment, which I feel is propelling much of the stock market prices upward. My concern there is if they end up raising interest rates, stock market prices are going to have to drop. Just look at the drop yesterday on January 18th and how quickly Wall Street got spooked over the prospects of rates rising. So what can savers do to avoid getting blindsided by another 2008? Well, just like a successful high school coach having a game plan, you too need a game plan for protecting your money. So here's what I'm going to do. Coach Wallace did this earlier. I'm going to go over to the whiteboard and actually show you what we at Tony Walker Financial do to strategize to help you with a game plan so you don't get blindsided. I'm going to get my cheat notes here. So Coach Wallace mentioned several different players. We're only going to talk about 4 defensive players that are trying to blindside you in your retirement. The first, that would be your left tackle. Okay. That's the stock market, which again, as we record this, he's not getting through the offensive line. Everything's going great. The next defender trying to get at you is taxes. Remember, if you've got a 401k, IRA, lump sum pension, that thing is infested with a tax tumor, and it's going to try to break through and take that quarterback out. The third defensive player trying to blindside you is fees. And finally, the last culprit that we worry about is something called inflation. Okay, that's the defense. Those are the opponents trying to get at your quarterback, which is obviously your money. Now, who would the offensive lineman be? Well, first of all, the first offensive lineman is what we have at Tony Walker Financial, our proprietary split IRA concept. This is our left tackle. This is our Michael Orr, if you will, because it's going to be there to block and keep out those stock market crashes when they eventually come our way. Now, what is behind the split IRA? Well, first of all, it's an ingenious tool that works well for savers, but more importantly, you have standing there in the wings to help out blocking the defender is Tony Walker and the wisdom and experience I have of meeting with over 15,000 people and listen, overseeing and orchestrating more than 5,000 written game plans. We also have a great crew, a staff, which includes 3 paid salaried fiduciaries and 10 full-time service experts that are standing there again, making sure that that stock market crash doesn't get to your money. The next opponent there, taxes, we have the game plan. You know, without a written game plan, people can talk about saving you taxes all day long. There's a lot out there right now, everybody promising to save you taxes. But if you don't have a written game plan and you start trying to do Roth conversions and taking money out earlier and trying to pay off debt, you can really create some problems for you. So we have that written game plan. So if you don't have a written game plan, that's something we can certainly help you with. Fees. Now, I know a lot of people talk about fees, but they bury those fees. They act like they're no big deal. There's even goofy ads on TV that talk about they make money when you make money. They don't tell you, though, that they still make money when you lose money. And so do we. With our Charles Schwab platform, though, rather than charging you 1.5% or 2%, we charge a whopping fee of 0.8%, one of the lowest fees in the industry, and I believe we provide more service than most money managers. We do everything local out of our Bowling Green office. We have paid staff. We pick all the portfolios. We make all the reallocations and rebalancing. We get you the money. You call us to help you with anything you need related to Charles Schwab, and again, for a fee of 0.8%. And then finally, inflation. Now, we've talked about inflation on this show many times. Folks, inflation is real. I know that. It ain't going away. Every year, more than likely, we're going to have inflation. Well, how do we combat that? You know how we combat that? With a philosophy, okay? It's called the Live Well, Die Broke philosophy. Now, the Live Well, Die Broke philosophy takes into something that most people do not consider because they don't have the experience of retirement planning, and that is something I created called the 3 halves of life. You see, over the years, what I've noticed is while inflation is real, the majority of people, as they get into what we call the second half of life, will begin to spend less and less money. In fact, in this graphic you see here, this blue shading, that represents your net worth. And although I know it sounds counterintuitive to have your money going down in value, with the split IRA concept, we want it to go down. And then what we do on the back end of the split IRA, that's where we put those annuities in place so that as you get older and start spending less money, since we don't know how long you're going to live, those annuities protect you from running out of money. So it works wonderfully, and it takes off the table this idea that you got to have boatloads of money and continue to stockpile money and risk money for the future, when in more times than not, what I've seen, most people as they age do not need as much money as they think. So if you don't have a written game plan, if you don't have a coach, if you will, that understands how to lay this out, and a team of advisors and service experts that are there to help you accomplish your goals and score points, then why not? Why don't we do this right now? Why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on that Let's Get Started button, and we can meet in person, or if you like, just have a 10-minute fiduciary free phone call. Or if you like, just simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, what does the Bible have to say about wisdom? It has plenty to say about wisdom, and there's also a book written about wisdom. It's one of the most practical guides on wisdom ever written. Good stuff coming your way. Let me grab a cup of coffee. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. Whether you're a longtime viewer of the Worry-Free Retirement or just catching us for the first time, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all of our latest educational content and previous shows of the Worry-Free Retirement. Also, don't forget about our blog page at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You know, I've made it my mission to help savers worry less about money, and we want to help you too. Let us know how we can help by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Webster's dictionary defines wisdom as the knowledge that is gained by having many experiences in life, the natural ability to understand things that most other people cannot. The theme of our show today involves the wisdom of having the knowledge and understanding on how not to get blindsided, whether it be protecting your team's quarterback in football, clueless passengers on a cruise ship getting ready to get hit by an iceberg, or protecting savers' money from being blindsided by the next stock market crash. Wisdom is the key to preparing and protecting you from being blindsided. Besides the Bible, one of the best books on the subject of wisdom is Charles Spurgeon's book of Practical Wisdom. Here's an excerpt from his book on men and money and how we all differ in our approach to it. First, he says, a vain man's motto is win gold and wear it. A generous man's motto is win gold and share it. A miserly man's motto is win gold and spare it. A profligate, that means somebody that lives extravagantly. Man's motto is win gold and spend it. A banker's motto, I love this one, is win gold and lend it. A gambler's motto is win gold and lose it. A wise man's motto is, boy, this is a doozy, win gold and use it, which I would say amen to that, as that's why I wrote the book Live Well, Die Broke, a book which shares my wisdom and experience of working with over 15,000 savers and why you need a game plan to not only protect your hard-earned money, but just as importantly, how to use and enjoy it before it's too late. Oh, by the way, to celebrate our upcoming 400th episode of the Worry-Free Retirement, I'm going to ask those of you who are longtime viewers of the Worry-Free Retirement to do me a favor. Email my Louisville office manager, Gina, at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and in that email, tell us what wisdom you have gained from watching the Worry-Free Retirement TV show. And then here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose the 10 wisest responses. And if you're one of those chosen, you will receive a free copy of Spurgeon's book of practical wisdom. Again, that's Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. So what does the Bible have to say about wisdom? Are there any verses of Scripture dealing with the subject? Well, quite frankly, it would take days to read all of the verses that deal with wisdom. Well, let's pick out a few in Proverbs, for instance, 28:26. It says, "He who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but he who walks wisely will be delivered." What about Proverbs 9:10? Here's another good one. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." Yet, with all of this wisdom man can garner from the Bible, there's also the chance that man can take this wisdom and, armed with good intentions, end up blindsiding the very ones we love with it. A blindsiding phenomenon I call the goofy Christian syndrome. Next week, I'm going to share with you how yours truly fell into this goofy Christian syndrome by blindsiding my wife Susan with a chapter found in the book of Proverbs and her response to it. But in the meantime, it appears we're about out of time, so let me give you some final wise pieces of advice. If you're sitting there retired, maybe thinking of retiring soon, maybe you got a former 401k that's sitting there that may be at risk, or you've just received an inheritance or have money languishing in the bank, let me make this offer to you. It's absolutely free to do the following. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and once there, you click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, here's what we can do. We can either meet by phone or if it warrants, I'll be happy to meet with you personally. That's right, the owner of the company with over 37 years of wisdom and experience in this field, meeting with you in person to discuss your personal situation at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Or if the internet's not handy or you're not comfortable giving information over the internet for some reason, just call the toll-free number on your screen 24/7 and we will make that happen. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. Remember, next week on our 400th episode, we're actually going to open the phones up to see if anybody out there has been listening or watching the Worry-Free Retirement for years, and we're curious to see if we get any phone calls just to kind of go down memory lane. But you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.